My name is Dr. James Holloway. I've spent the last 41 years working as a geriatric specialist. Over the decades, I've seen many things that textbooks never prepared me for. Pain that lingers in silence, quiet suffering that wears a smile, and warning signs that most of us overlook until it's too late. Today, I want to talk to you about something that might sound unusual: itching. Yes, itching. Not all itches are just a minor nuisance. Some are actually your body's way of crying out for help. I'm not trying to scare you, at least not without cause, but I need you to listen carefully. If you or someone you love has been experiencing certain kinds of itchiness, it could be more than dry skin or an allergy. It could be a serious warning. This is not a typical health tips video. This is a story, a true one, wrapped in love, loss, second chances, and lessons that I hope will help you or someone you care about. Because I've seen lives changed or lost because an itch was ignored. Let me introduce you to Evelyn. She was 74 when she first walked into my clinic. Dressed in a soft green cardigan with buttons shaped like tiny roses, Evelyn had the presence of someone who had once loved deeply and laughed loudly, but now carried a quiet heaviness in her eyes. She had recently lost her husband of 52 years. Harold was her high school sweetheart, her dance partner, her co-chef, and her rock. She told me the house felt colder now, the bed too wide, and the mornings far too quiet. But Evelyn hadn't come to talk about grief, not directly. "It's probably just old skin," she said, half laughing, trying to brush off her concern. "But I've been itching all over, mostly my back and arms. I wake up scratching, and no matter what lotion I use, it just doesn't go away." At first, I thought of the usual culprits: dryness, eczema, maybe an allergic reaction. But as a geriatric doctor, my job is to look deeper, especially when the itch doesn't respond to basic treatment. So I ask questions, the kind that most people wouldn't think to connect. Any changes in weight recently? How's your energy level? Any issues with appetite? Has your urine changed color? Do your eyes or skin ever look a bit yellow? Evelyn hesitated. "Well, I've lost a little weight, nothing big, and my appetite isn't what it used to be, but I just figured that was from missing Harold." I nodded. Grief can do that, but sometimes grief masks something else entirely. I sent her for blood tests, liver function panels, and an ultrasound. When the results came back, my heart sank. Evelyn had early-stage cholestatic liver disease. The itchiness was one of the earliest symptoms. Her liver was struggling to process bile, and the buildup was manifesting as relentless itching. She had no idea. This is the first itch I want to tell you about. If you have an itch that doesn't go away, especially on your back, arms, or hands, and nothing topical seems to help, especially if you notice any fatigue or yellowing of the eyes, it could be a liver problem. And sometimes liver disease sneaks up without pain, just an itch. Now, Evelyn was lucky in one way. We caught it early. With medication, dietary changes, and close monitoring, she's doing well today. She even joined a widow's cooking group and teaches others how to make Harold's famous cinnamon rolls. But not everyone is that fortunate. Let me take you back to someone else I'll never forget. His name was Ronald, 68, retired factory worker, tough as nails, but soft-spoken. The kind of man who never complained. His daughter practically dragged him into my office. "Tell him, Dad," she insisted. "Tell him about the itch." Ronald shrugged. "It's nothing, Doc, just my legs. They itch like crazy at night. Been like that for a few months. He hadn't said anything until his daughter saw him scratching his calves so hard in his sleep that he bled. This, friends, is the second itch. When itching is concentrated on your lower legs or feet, especially at night, and there's no rash, dryness, or visible cause, it could be a sign of chronic kidney disease. In Ronald's case, his kidneys were failing, quietly. He hadn't felt any pain, no swelling, just that cursed itch. The body, when the kidneys stop filtering waste efficiently, starts pushing toxins out through the skin. The result? Itchiness that lotions can't touch. Ronald was put on a strict treatment plan, but he was already at stage 4. We managed his condition as best we could. I still remember how much he hated dialysis. But even more than dialysis, he hated the fact that he hadn't spoken up sooner. "If I'd just told someone when it started," he said to me one day, "maybe I wouldn't be here now." That's the thing. The people most at risk, the strong, quiet ones, are the least likely to talk about something like an itch. But it matters. It matters so much. Now, I know this story is getting heavy, but I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever had an itch, not on your skin, but in your soul? That's what I saw in Maya. She was 81, a retired teacher. She used to write poetry, though she hadn't picked up a pen in years. She came to me because of weird sensations on her chest and shoulders. "It feels like bugs are crawling on me," she whispered, embarrassed. "But there's nothing there." She looked at her hands constantly, checking for invisible ants or threads. There were none. This is the third itch, a neuropathic itch. It's often misdiagnosed, especially in older adults. But in Maya's case, it was a precursor to something much deeper. We ran tests, neurological exams, and eventually, after referrals and scans, we had our answer: early onset dementia. You see, the brain can misfire signals. What should feel like normal touch gets interpreted as itchiness, especially in the shoulders, chest, or face. It was heartbreaking to watch her progression. But in those early months, I got to know Maya well. She started writing again, short poems at first, then letters to her younger self. One of them still haunts me. "Dear me at 34, you're not invincible. The mind is not forever. So dance, love, forgive quickly, and never ignore the quiet signs, even if they come dressed as ants." I keep that poem in my drawer. So far, we've covered 3 kinds of itch that might mean your time is limited. Unexplained body itching tied to liver disease. Lower leg itching at night, often from kidney disease. Crawling or phantom itches, which can be early signs of neurological decline. Each one is a whisper, a nudge, a plea from the body. But there is one more, perhaps the most overlooked and the most dangerous. It's what led me to meet Clarence, a man who showed me that sometimes an itch is more than physical. Clarence was 77, a retired pilot, walked in with an impeccable suit, perfectly trimmed white beard, and eyes that missed nothing. "I'm itchy under my arms," he said, "like deep inside, not the skin. It's like it's under the skin." He had no rash, no fever, no swelling, but I ordered tests anyway. Blood work, scans, a lymph node biopsy. The diagnosis? Lymphoma. This is the 4th itch. Deep, persistent itching, especially around the armpits, groin, or neck, that isn't caused by anything on the skin. It's often linked to blood cancers. Clarence went through chemo. He lost the beard, lost weight, but not his spirit. He sent me postcards from every hospital he visited, saying, "Still flying, Doc, just on a different path now." He passed away 2 years later, surrounded by family, but he had no regrets because he didn't wait. That's what I want for you. Not fear, awareness. Because if you catch these things early, if you listen to the itch, you give yourself the chance to write a different ending. I often wonder how many stories were never told simply because someone thought, it's probably nothing. How many daughters never got to say goodbye to their fathers because an itch on the leg was dismissed as dry skin? How many husbands lost their wives too soon because they chalked up back discomfort to old age? We live in a world that constantly tells us to tough it out. But let me be the one voice that says this clearly. You are not overreacting. You are not weak for paying attention to your body. And sometimes the smallest symptoms are the body's loudest cry. Now, I know the idea of an itch meaning death might sound dramatic to some, but let's reframe that. It doesn't mean death is knocking. It means life is whispering, begging to be protected. I once gave a lecture to a room full of young interns, and I told them, the secret to saving a life might not lie in heroic surgery or rare diagnosis. It might be in asking one more question about something as small as an itch. They looked at me with those hungry eyes of youth, wanting to be the kind of doctors who changed the world. But changing the world starts with listening. Let me tell you about someone who taught me that better than any textbook. Her name was Lucia. She wasn't my patient, she was my mother. I was 27 when she first mentioned it. "Jimmy," she said one night while we were washing dishes together, "I've had this annoying itch in my scalp for weeks. Think I need to change my shampoo?" I nodded distractedly, thinking nothing of it. I was busy. I had just started my residency, and I was foolish. Weeks passed, then months. The itch spread, her neck, her back, her arms. Still, she smiled through it, joked about dry skin, bought new lotions. By the time she got checked, it was too late. Pancreatic cancer had already spread. She was gone in less than 6 months. That is the moment I decided I would never again ignore someone's itch. Never again would I wave away a symptom because it seemed too small. Lucia's memory lives on in every patient I treat. And maybe after today, in your heart too. Because awareness is a form of love. When you learn to read your body's language, when you treat its whispers with the same urgency as it screams, you become your own best ally. Now, I want to take a moment to gently remind you of the 4 kinds of itch we've discussed, but I'm not going to list them clinically. I want you to remember them through the people who lived them. 1. Evelyn's back and arm itch, the early sign of liver disease. Quiet, persistent, misunderstood. 2. Ronald's itchy legs at night, a symptom of kidney decline, often ignored by strong, silent men. The kind of itch that draws blood because you scratch in your sleep. 3. Maya's phantom crawling, the neuropathic itch linked to dementia. Confusing, embarrassing, but so telling. The brain asking for help in the only way it knows. 4. Clarence's underarm itch, deep, invisible, coming from inside. A red flag for lymphoma or blood cancers, often misread until it's too late. Each of these people taught me something irreplaceable. not just about medicine, but about life. That it's never just an itch, it's a message. And the most beautiful part? Sometimes when we listen, we change the ending. Take Evelyn. She sends me handwritten thank you cards every Christmas. Last year said, "Thank you for listening when I didn't know how to speak." Or Maya, whose daughter turned her poems into a published book called When Ants Sing. Proceeds go to dementia research. Even Clarence's grandson became a medical student. In his application essay, he wrote, "I want to be the kind of doctor who notices the itch before it becomes the obituary." Powerful, isn't it? So what should you do if you've been feeling an unusual itch? Here's what I tell my patients, and now I'm telling you like I would tell someone I love. 1. Don't dismiss it. If it's been lasting more than a week, especially without visible skin issues, take it seriously. 2. Track it. Write down when it happens, where, how long, after food, at night, after medication. 3. Look for companions. Is there fatigue, weight loss, change in appetite, urine color, or memory or mood? 4. See your doctor, preferably someone who takes you seriously, someone who listens, not just prescribes. 5. Ask for blood work. A basic panel, liver enzymes, kidney function, and if needed, a referral to a specialist. You owe that to yourself. Now, before we close, I want to speak directly to the part of you that might feel afraid, because I know this kind of story can stir up old anxieties. Maybe you felt one of these itches. Maybe you've lost someone and this brought it all back. Take a deep breath. This isn't about fear. This is about power. Knowledge is power. Action is power. Listening to your body is power. And here's something beautiful. Sometimes the most dangerous symptoms are the most treatable if caught early. So don't wait. Don't say, "I'll mention it next time." Don't tell yourself, "I'm probably overreacting." You're not. You're being wise. You're being brave. You're being alive. Because aging isn't about fading into silence. It's about tuning into the music of your body, every note, every whisper, every itch, and choosing to dance anyway. I've spent over 40 years walking alongside people like you. I've cried with them, laughed with them, held their hands in the darkest hours. And if there's one thing I can leave you with, it's this: you matter. Your story isn't over. Your body wants you here. So listen when it speaks, even when it speaks softly, especially then. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this story resonated with you or reminded you of someone you love, please share it. You never know whose life it might save. And if you'd like to hear more stories like this, stories that heal, guide, and hold you through the quiet moments, click like and subscribe to Wisdom Through Time. We're building a community here, a place for stories that matter, for lives that still have so much to give. Until next time, take care of your body, take care of each other, and never, ever ignore the itch. Dr. James Holloway.